Right, hello StarCraft fans, and welcome to yet another replay. This time it's James versus Joe again, Deathlake versus Happystick, round 5 and the second game. Joe unfortunately lost the last game somewhat heavily due to a rather imposing blockade of photon cannons by James. Good news is that that's unlikely to happen this game, as James has decided to switch to Zerg. So let's see what kind of nastiness he can pull out the bag on this one. Right, so very little to comment on so far. Neither player is deciding to actually build any workers yet. I would kind of recommend some SCVs be built here. Okay, decided to go refinery before SCVs, an interesting strategy, but does have the wall off here, which is good. Again, okay. James gone for the hatchery first, which is a fairly common, well certainly more common in Zerg than it is with any of the other races. Due to Zerg having significantly cheaper bases than anyone else, which this will give, if it goes unscouted, which it probably will. Look, there's much scouting going on here. This will give James quite a significant economically, which is always a nice thing to have. Okay, what's that? We're having some issues today, aren't we? Yeah, well, just trust me, it's an overlord. Okay, so again, spawning pool coming down fairly early spawning pool. Where is it? Oh, there it is. So should allow some early Zergling harass if that's something James decided he wants to go for. Meanwhile, wall off finish here, so that should prevent any early game Zerg units from coming in there. A few sort of Marines here and here will see off any Zerglings quite happily, I should imagine. Meanwhile, workers coming down. Has decided to fill out this refinery first before sending any minerals or any workers elsewhere, which is an interesting strategy. I would presume from that his build, whatever he's going for, is quite gas heavy, and therefore he's going to require this very, very early gas income. I don't know. Certainly early tech lab, going for some upgrades there, as well as a factory. Yeah, we'll see. Who knows what they're going for. Right, anyway, first Marine coming down, always nice to see. And Queens for James. Queen's very useful unit. Pretty much always built by a Zerg. I don't think I've ever seen a Zerg player not go for Queens. Has this very useful ability, Spawn Lava, which can quite rapidly increase the rate of delivery of Zerg units, which is always nice. Upgrade to Orbital Command coming down here. Will allow lots of useful abilities, provided Joe actually remembers to use the abilities, which he was a little lax on doing last game. Let's see if he can improve this time round. Okay then, so again a fairly quiet start. Lair coming down from James, so he's getting up the tech tree as fast as he can, which is certainly something you can do when you're on two bases. Has decided not to try and trap Joe in this time. He's going to let him expand as he likes. Joe, however, seemingly quite happy just to sit. Did call that a meal, which is nice. That should increase his mineral income quite significantly if we have a look. Yeah, actually a little bit ahead with the Zerg, but Joe is holding his own quite well here. Building up a nice little force. So hopefully James won't have quite such an easy win this game as he did last game. Let us see. Again, combat shield coming down. Very fond of a combat shield. Also, tech lab on the factory will allow the buildings of siege tanks. Actually, do you need siege tanks for? Do you need tech labs for siege tanks? Does anyone know? You do. Okay, right. As you can probably tell, I don't play a lot of Terran. I don't really know how they work. I don't play much Zerg either, to be honest. So yeah, let's see if I know what I'm doing. Anyway, as we see, Roach 1 coming down. Roach is pretty hardy unit. Some good range damage, and I believe this to be a Hydralisk Den. It's coming here. Roach Hydra, very, very powerful army for Zerg. Relatively cheap, relatively low tech, and can deal with an awful lot of stuff. You have the Roaches for tanking, hitting ground units, whereas Hydras are a little bit more squishy. Quite a lot more squishy actually, but can hit air and have some fantastic defense. Again, spitting on these hatches, boosting the lava income. James keeping pretty good control over his minerals. This is a problem James tends to have, especially later in the game. that's something a lot of, especially newer StarCraft players, falling into, is not being able to spend their minerals fast enough. So it's nice to see him keeping on top of that. Joe again going for some siege tanks. He does like a siege tank, and in this position, siege tanks do incredibly well. They will stop. You're going to need quite an army that can get up this ramp through all of this and still reach the top in one piece. So Joe going quite defensive. Would probably benefit from expanding out fairly soon. If only he'd done some scouting, which you could very easily do. Once you've got an orbital command, all you have to do is press C and you can scout anywhere on the map. You would see that the Zerg player is not planning on going aggressive, perhaps for a while, and I'm thinking now would be a good time to try and get that second base down, or he's just going to be overrun by Zerg very, very soon. So, Zerg getting some upgrades down. Is also supply blocked, as we see, so expect about 15 overlords to be in production in a minute now. James is not a man who likes to do things by halves. Yep, there we go, 4 overlords. Excellent. As it due to be... Oh, 11, yeah, right. Okay. Yes. So anyway, good news, Joe is scanning. We'll realise that this Zerg is on the second base, which should hopefully encourage him to get a second base down himself. Of course, with Terran, you can be a lot safer with multiple bases than you can with other races by building one in your base where it's safe, and then only once it's completed do you fly out and plonk it down over here. Also, a Thor coming out, which is nice. I haven't seen any Thors for a while. Everyone loves a good Thor. As I say, also got the armory down here, which is required for the building of Thors. See, Terran also supply block, but has some supply depots in the way, should temporarily allay that particular problem. Stim pack coming down. Oh, where? What? Yes, I see nydus worm in production. Yes, indeed, nydus network. Nydus network allows for the placement of nydus worms, which can pop up in highly irritating places, such as the opponent's base, and then just vomit Zerg. It's quite a good counter against Terran. If the Terran's doing a wall off, you don't want to have to run up that ramp, so don't. Simply burrow underneath the ramp with a nydus worm and run into their base and kill everything. Again, neither player really done much scouting here, as we can see. He's done a couple of little scans of a vague idea what's going on. James, he hasn't even seen any Terran units yet, I don't think. So he's got to be pretty confident in his ability to overwhelm whatever he's coming against. Let's see. Well, in fairness, he does have a decent army, and say quite a large supply advantage. If we look at active forces, yeah, James has a lot more, well, not actually that much, but a fair amount more resources in the army units than his opponent does. So, however, sieged up siege tanks will be able to do some nasty things. So anyway, another hatchery coming down for James now. Good news though, Joe has decided to expand, does have his command center building up there. I would personally recommend having a few things to defend it, or at least some units that'll be able to see stuff coming up to kill your base, and will then be able to move down your army and defend it. Alright, more Hydralisks coming in again. Looks like a mostly Roach Hydra army here for the Zerg, which is, again, nothing wrong with Roach Hydra. Very powerful army. Fairly easy to build, fairly easy to manage. Yeah, just do it for days again. James, nice to see, keeping pretty good control of his units. Nydus network is now complete. Can summon a worm, indeed, yes. Third base just finished up. Oh, another scan going down, so Joe will have seen this quite sizable army of Zerg, and is probably realising that what he has may not be enough to beat it, so hopefully, see, against a large land army like this, a large land Zerg army, some sieged up tanks will do absolute wonders, and I'm pretty sure Joe does have, I think he got a, did he get a look? Oh, that's Deathlake. He has not seen the nydus network. That could be quite key, in fairness. And is supply blocked again, so let's see, how many overlords? Oh, only 4. James, you disappointed me. You've been far too conservative with those overlords. Yeah. So yeah, well, siege tank position makes a lot of sense if they're going to try and come up this ramp. However, what Joe probably hasn't realised yet, because I don't think he's seen the nydus network, is that James has no reason, and indeed no need to come up this ramp. He can just pop up wherever he likes, and if he pops up somewhere in the middle of the base, as is most likely, this siege tank is unlikely to be able to hit anything at all, because it can only hit stuff there. Also, these siege tanks completely unsieged, and that's not what you want. See this Overseer trying to have a bit of a pop, does see the Thor, and also, yeah, it's looking for a good nydus worm position. So, not much production going on. Interesting, James, again, getting towards quite full supply, but appears to have gone briefly to sleep. Let's see what's he doing here. Ah, yes, indeed. The problem with a lot of players in the Novice League is that they can either do micro or they can do macro. They simply can't do both at once. So as we can see, James getting some good scouting work done here with his Overlord, Overseer rather, but is at the same time building up quite a lot of minerals, which he really should use to build some stuff. But he has now found his nydus worm spot. Let's see, how long is it going to take Joe to notice there's a nydus worm? Oh, okay, he's seen the nydus worm. He's going to move over. Might be enough. Okay, there it is, and the brooches are coming out. That's not good. Generally speaking, what you want to do is siege up these tanks as soon as possible. Unsiege tanks do have pretty good damage, but there's nothing like as good as the siege on siege areas of these tanks here. Well, that one's getting some shots in. These siege tanks are finally sieging up, but I feel that they are far too late. Expect them to get a few good kills now. Another nydus worm really was not necessary. I'm not sure if it was. James seems to think so. To be honest, I'm pretty sure that game was over there. Yep, as we can see, James is throwing literally everything up to and quite possibly into the kitchen sink, and it will be enough. Happystick has left the game. James is victorious. Alright, GG.